Hey Fear Minimalist, it's Sophia Lark of thefearminimalist.com, providing trauma recovery tools to help women of color heal their mother wound. So this video is by request, and it explores how cultural awareness and reclaiming our cultural identity can help to heal the Black mother wound. So keep watching. For the best trauma recovery tips, tools, and strategies, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you'll never miss a video when I upload new content every single week. If you're new to my channel, I am a survivor of mother wound trauma, a licensed professional counselor, a certified clinical trauma professional, helping women of color heal their mother wound trauma and build resilience. One of the greatest atrocities in African American history is the theft and the erasure of our culture, and the difficulties that we've had accessing over the centuries pertinent documentation and historical records to actually help us understand exactly how this theft and erasure of our culture has impacted us. Our ancestors were robbed of their cultural identity when they were stolen from their homeland and taken to some faraway land and forced to assimilate into a foreign culture where they primarily had to adapt survival behaviors. So with their cultural identity stripped, this was then replaced by a Eurocentric worldview that worked relentlessly to socialize Africans into believing that, you're not just inferior to whites, you're not even human. So, as you can imagine, this laid the foundation for various abuses, injustices, and outright barbarism against African Americans, and particularly against African American women who were repeatedly raped, forced to breed, and medically experimented on at the will of the master, at the will of the master's doctor, whoever wanted a piece of her. And this disrupted traditional African motherhood practices, the way that they raised their children, that they had to adapt to survive. So these adaptations then became more in alignment with the colonizers' wishes, which were founded on racist, violent, stereotypical narratives, beliefs, behaviors, and images that influenced the way Black mothers begin to parent their children. So with the dignity of motherhood stripped through the repeated abuse of Black women, the horrific abuse of Black women, many mothers became unable to form secure attachments with their children, which then laid the foundation for the creation of an insecure attachment system from which the mother wound would eventually emerge. Over time, many African Americans, not all, became psychologically enslaved. And so that means that they took on the beliefs, the ideals, the preferences, the norms of the oppressor, and begin to, in their behaviors, the way that they showed up in the world, the things that they said, begin to show or to speak of European, Eurocentric values being the best way to navigate in the world. If we adhere to that, their way of doing things, then we can be accepted. It's what many people call respectability politics. And so this mindset gets passed down from one generation to the next. Nobody breaks the cycle. And it impacts how Black and brown people show up in the world, elevating Eurocentric ideals, values, norms, preferences, demonstrating a preference for the way that white people do things. And I'm not saying that everything that white people do is wrong. That's not what I'm saying here. I shop at white stores. I talk to white people. I actually have a couple of white friends, not a couple, I have a few. But that doesn't mean that, kumbaya. It doesn't mean that we're colorblind. It's important to me that I know my history. And so This is how cultural identity, cultural awareness gets erased. When you don't know where you come from, when you have no memory of your culture, your traditional norms of that culture, your history, your origins, your language, your ancestral stories, when you have no memory or no understanding of that, and you only show preference for what you know, which is a European colonized way of seeing the world, then that's how you lose touch with who you are culturally. And so when you face racism, when you face discrimination, you go, what the hell's going on? I'm a good person. It shouldn't matter that I'm black. But oh, it does. And hopefully one day we will get to a point where we will not need labels. I don't want to just be seen as black either. But guess what? In this world, in this particular country, I am black. And when I show up black and somebody on the other side who is not black, more specifically somebody who is white, and they have a particular idea about me, that is going to impact how they treat me. Whether I think I'm the best person on the planet since sliced bread, that's not going to matter to them. And one day we won't have to worry about this. I don't think it'll be in our lifetime. I'm pretty sure it won't be. But in our progenitors, our progeny may get that experience. They may actually get to live in a world where it doesn't matter, where they're not black. They're just a human being. But right now, we got to go with what is. And so we're constantly working to dismantle those so that we can pass on a positive legacy where people are not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And we still are not there yet. All right, guys, I want to check in to see if this is making sense to you. Are you tracking with me? Do you have any burning questions about anything that I've said so far? If you do, just let me know in the comments below. How do we become culturally aware? The key to awareness is to reclaim our cultural identity. And the first way, one of the first ways to do that, you don't have to do it in order, but for the first thing that I am saying is to learn about your cultural and ancestral history. Understand it. Understand how it impacts you. And then honor your ancestors and their ability, despite the odds stacked against them, to be able to preserve aspects of traditional African culture. That's what we can start with. Start by embracing cultural words and actions and spirituality in some sense. Embrace those things. We have a very rich culture. And understanding why we say things the way that we do. Hey, give me 10 cents. You got 50 cents. Around white people, they'd be like, what the hell did you just say? And you're like, 50 cents. But for them, it's 50 cents. It's things like that. She ain't never going to be on time. That's how we talk. The reason African Americans, we speak the way that we do, and it's unique, and I love it, is because we were African once. Our ancestors were African, and they didn't speak English. And so when they were forced to what eventually became America, of course they learned to speak English because they heard the white people speaking it. And so they had to survive, right? We talked about adaptive behaviors. Human beings adapt. So not only did they preserve some of their traditional African language, some aspects of, the way that we cook and all those kinds of things, but the way that we, express ourselves, they added some of that with the new language that they learned, which was English. And so some of the words that we would traditionally say, like sense, would be sent, or ain't never got no. Things like that. We call double negatives in traditional English. But it was the way that we learned to communicate. It helped us to become more and more attuned to what this new world was about. So, white people sit there and laugh at you. Oh, they don't know how to talk or whatever. But you knew what the hell I was saying, though. Okay, then. So anyway, you get it. But that's what I'm talking about. So embracing cultural language, words, spirituality, creativity is another way to do it. And then also what I call creating a cultural learning journey. This is where you create this educational trail based on documentation and things that you do within your family. You implement African American culture into your family if you're not already doing it. You create this educational trail. So this is where we came from. This is how, this is why we do family reunions this way. And then you show pictures of you actually being there, maybe at a Juneteenth event. And that is something that you're able to pass along to future generations. So kids won't be so hard pressed to find out where they come from or what their history is, because you're creating that for them. Even if you don't have kids, you can pass it on to your nieces or nephews, or just people within the community in general. Okay, and so those are some ways. You can also read. I'm a huge reader. I'm a researcher, of course, and so I read all the time. I read every single day, multiple books a day, multiple research articles a day. And so for me, that's not a lot for me, but for you, it might. I get it. A lot of people don't like to read. But just a simple book like Naeem Akbar's Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery, that's not a very big book. It's a sort of kind of almost like a pamphlet even, or it's a booklet rather. Joy DeGruy's book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Also, and I'm gonna screw up his name, but his name is She Ante Joe. He was a single-lease African man who was a historian, a physicist. He was one of the greatest African thinkers of his time. I think he died in 1986. A good book, The African Origins of Civilization. So that's where you can start with actual African history, just kind of in a general sense. And so those are some of the ways that you can start to become culturally aware and reconnect to your cultural identity, so that you have an understanding of what it means to have a positive image and identity as a Black woman. So how does cultural awareness help you to heal the Black mother wound? Well, the first thing it helps you to do is to develop compassion for the violent wounds and traumas that your foremothers sustained and unwittingly passed on to you. But here's the other thing. And this is where integration, this is where doing the work comes in. And when you integrate the narrative, you then start to see the other side of what they gave you, which is they also transferred to you wisdoms and gifts that not only allowed you to survive, but to also get to this point where you're even watching my video, of breaking the intergenerational wounds, breaking that cycle of mother wound trauma. And so as you acknowledge and integrate both the gifts and the traumas, then you're able to transform that wound into your personal power, which then opens the door for you to pass on a positive parenting legacy to future generations. So, you may not even have kids, and you may decide not to have kids. You can still pass along this legacy, because this is about healing the attachment system. When you do the work to heal the attachment system, you build healthy connections with other people. So they don't necessarily have to be your kids. They can be other significant relationships. And so then you pass on that new relational nurturing aspect of yourself to other people who can benefit from that. All right, so now you know how cultural awareness can help you heal Black mother wound trauma. And to get you on the fast track to reclaiming your cultural identity, be sure to download my free Cultivating Cultural Awareness checklist that you can download by clicking the link below. Also, guys, I want to invite you to connect with me on Instagram at Fear Minimalist and Facebook at Fear Minimalist, where we can carry on the conversation in more depth about healing the mother wound. All right, that's all we got for you. That'll do it for today, guys. If you liked this video, hit the like button below, share with your friends, drop a comment to let me know what you learned today. If there's anything that resonated with you, maybe there's something else that you'd like to see. You say, oh gosh, you didn't add that, and I really would have liked for you to touch on that subject. Let me know in the comments below. Last but not least, guys, be sure to subscribe by hitting that subscribe button, click the notification bell so that you'll always be in the know when I upload new content every single week. And I know I said last but not least, but this is actually it. Last but not least, guys, the sun is going to rise and shine bright tomorrow. But the question is, are you going to rise with it and allow your best self to shine? I hope you do, and I will see you next time. Bye.